Well, we are, as you heard earlier, only 8 days away from the election, the midterm elections, where millions of Americans have already cast their ballot, over 20 million so far.
Lots of early voting. Candidates are doing all they can to reel in any of those undecided voters. And according to our latest CBS News Battleground Tracker, it appears Republicans are gaining some last-minute momentum. We're now estimating the GOP will win the House with a healthy majority of 228 seats, a slight gain from just a few weeks ago. The future of the Senate is still unclear, with CBS labeling 5 races a toss-up. CBS News Chief Washington correspondent Major Garrett is here with us now in studio. Major, so great to have you with us. What is to account for this change in the polling that's showing Republicans gaining some last-minute speed?
So this began about 2.5, 3 weeks ago. And what you really saw was an ebbing in the intensity on the Democratic side over abortion rights, privacy rights generally, and democracy issues. Not that they've disappeared, but they've lost their intensity. And what has changed in this 2 or 3 week period is Republican interest and swing voter interest in core economic matters has pushed up higher. And related to economics, public safety, and what has been a persistent issue driving Republican turnout for a year and a half, immigration. All those three things are coalescing. They were there before the Dobbs decision. They sort of took a back seat after Dobbs and the intensity that engendered, quite obviously. But that has now shifted again. And I was just out in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I interviewed California's Governor Gavin Newsom. He was there trying to help out the Democratic governor, Michelle Lujan Grisham, win re-election. That is clear evidence that Democrats feel they have to be in places that they didn't think they'd have to be 5 weeks ago in order to defend a governor like that. I asked Gavin Newsom, I said, how many seats in California on the House side could Democrats lose? He said, there are 4 races that are competitive now that were not competitive 5 weeks ago. Wow. That indicates a shift in momentum. And I said, does it feel like a red wave? Gavin Newsom's words, it does.
Wow.
And our latest poll showed that we have 5 Senate races that could be toss-ups.
Yes.
So even though we're talking about Republicans likely to take the House, that Senate is still very important. There's a lot of races to watch. But I want to ask about, Ron Johnson, Mandela Barnes. Former President Obama was there this weekend. How much of an impact does someone like former President Obama have coming in at the home stretch?
So the greatest signal that the Democratic Party can send to core voters that a race is really important and every vote counts is former President Obama. It's not anyone else in the Democratic Party. That is like the great signal. Hey, pay attention.
Matters.
You've got to get out. This is close. We may be within a 0.5 percentage point, and everyone needs to get involved. That is the signaling that a visit from former President Obama sends. Remember, right before the last election we had, which was 2021, President Obama made a quick trip to New Jersey on behalf of the governor. When that happened, I said, they're seeing something in that data. Remember that governor's election turned out to be incredibly close, and everyone was like, what happened? When I saw President Obama go there, I knew they had some internal polling showing that race was close. So he doesn't go to places where he cannot make a practical difference. That is one of the ways that his organization, which is still very deeply politically attuned and very deeply attuned to what's winnable and what isn't, that's where they send
And
it.
at that point, too, are we really talking about people who are on the fence? Because the majority of those people in that room support Mandela Barnes, support Obama policies, and anybody that he says you should vote for.
No, they're not fence sitters. These are the core activists, and to make sure that their energy remains high, and those whom they are trying to make sure, the propensity voters, think about it this way. Most strategists think of propensity voting on a scale of 1 to 4. 4 being the highest, 0 being the lowest. Get those 2 to 3s. And someone like former President Obama can reach them and the people who are calling the phone, sending the text messages, knocking on doors.
Making sure they vote. They actually vote.
And keep the energy high and the visibility high.
These toss-up Senate races are so important. Another one that's getting a lot of press, of course, is Arizona. There's also cases of potential voter intimidation that's coming out of that state. What's the latest you can tell us about that?
So what's happening in certain areas in Arizona, not all over the state, certain areas, American citizens are standing nearby ballot drop boxes. Some of them are armed, not all of them. Some of them are similarly garbed in ways that look kind of vaguely militaristic. and they're there to watch out for potential fraud. What are they to watch out for? Well, there's this entire incredibly thoroughly debunked conspiracy theory that in the 2020 election, people took wads and wads of ballots and stuffed them into ballot boxes. That didn't happen. And I know that because the people who perpetrate this conspiracy theory have been asked by the authorities in Georgia and Arizona in law enforcement. This seems very interesting. Could you please provide the evidence? We would like to look into it. And they've never provided anything. So these people stand by the drop boxes and want to be on the lookout. Well, does a person feel rightly or properly or just nominally intimidated by that? The courts are trying to figure that out.
And I think that's so interesting. I look at the issue with having water or snacks, and then you look at someone in tactical gear.
Right.
It just seems clearly illegal. It seems like there should be a radius.
There was a court case brought, and so far there's been a preliminary ruling that this does not constitute illegal harassment or intimidation. But
is there a perimeter? Does there need to be a?
So most states, all states, in fact, have a perimeter.
Okay.
But ballot drop boxes are different than precincts, and the legislative language there isn't as precise because no one's really thought about it this way before. So it's being tested, it's being watched, and this morning the Justice Department did not intervene in the lawsuit, but filed a statement about it. And there are many in the voting rights community like, really? Seriously? That's all you have is a statement that you want to put on the record? You don't want to get involved in this? Don't you think this is something the Justice Department ought to be more muscularly involved in? So far, it hasn't been.
Let's just hope
are they asking for FBI agents to just go down there and start arresting people that are
so look,
loitering around ballot boxes?
It's not illegal to stand around a ballot box, a drop box. It isn't, and there's a fine line here between describing something as criminally intimidating and wondering whether it is. And I think everyone involved is trying to figure out what the balance is. I go back to my original point. This didn't happen in a conspiratorial, fraudulent way in 2020. It's not happening now. Ballot drop boxes are not a method to achieve voter fraud. They simply aren't. And this is a kind of hyperactive reaction to something that underlying doesn't exist.
It's a reflection of the climate that we're in.
At a time when U.S. officials are putting out warnings
about violence, absolutely,
and potential violence, I just hope that on election night, many of us will be working.
Right. I mean, just think about a scenario where someone wants to drop off their ballot in an open carry state and brings their own gun. I mean, it's possible. You can't rule out the possibility of either some misunderstanding happening or some confrontation happening simply about dropping a ballot in a drop box. That's what this kind of thing engenders. It creates a sense of fear. But one thing I think it's important to point out, for the vast majority of Americans who voted early, and millions have, and millions will continue to, it's safe, accessible, predictable, just like it always has been.
Don't worry.
Exactly.
Go and cast your vote.
Yep.
Major
Garrett, thank you, as always.
Always a pleasure.